Here. Here.
Here, and let it be known that the mayor had emailed that he would not be able to make it tonight. Item number 2 on the agenda is the insurance renewal from the Owens Group. You guys can step up. I got one from the mayor, but you can have this one. We'll get another one. This is mine.
Can you use your sleeve?
Oh, it's at the podium. It's there.
What is this? That general?
You're gonna have
Just
to
so
shut
you
down
know,
the
I
light
did as a
show.
little bit earlier, there was an issue with emailing this proposal to us earlier, so that's why it wasn't in your boxes. So they did bring this here for us tonight to go over. All you can.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Valerie Lewis. I'm with the Owens Group. I am the Vice President of Risk Management, working with Bruce Mitchell, who's the account manager for Sauk Village. We are here tonight to bring your insurance renewal information to you for your March 27th upcoming renewal. Tonight, we're reviewing the information. I believe on the 22nd, we will then make a determination. There are a few highlights of the program that Bruce would like to talk to you about tonight. And we're here for any questions that you might have as well.
I primarily handle the marketing of the insurance program. Currently, we have ACE USA on the package side. We have pollution coverage with ACE as well. Chubb is the carrier for the property, and pollution is with ACE. The program structure, initially in the highlights section, under executive summary. In January 14, 2016, two carriers that represents the village, ACE and Chubb, merged, forming the largest property casualty insurance carrier in the country, with about $150 billion. I want to point out to you that the program is in place with definitely able to.
Can't hear you.
Initially, the Chubb is the public entity carrier that is going to be driving the coverage that we recommend for the village. They initially wanted to increase the village's retentions from 50,000 to 100,000. Several carriers in the industry are going away from the lower retention. They're looking at 100,000, 250,000, 300,000. We had a couple of carriers that was interested in writing the village's coverage at 100,000. We were able to get Chubb, ACE, to come in at 100,000 across the board for early expiring, except for the political, public entity, the public officials liability coverage, which is at 75,000. One of the biggest drivers of the village program are the claims. While we're doing a lot better in the last couple of years, there's been a few EEOC claims that have negatively impacted the program. Specifically, you have one that's in July of 2011 that goes for approximately $130,000. You have another in December of 2014, and that was for $86,000. We're looking at roughly.
When you look at your total number in that area, not just the employment practices claims, but the public officials claims in total, you're looking at over 800,000 for over the last 10 years. So that's a number that underwriters look at in their rating, and they look to see if there's any area where you are doing anything for risk management to mitigate those things. And Mr. Fairman and I and Mohan talked about some of the innovations that you would like to do this year to help impact those numbers. And we were able to translate that to some underwriters who are impressed with where you want to go, and as a result, they were able to offer alternatives to your current program. Overall, though, those carriers still were not as good from a a coverage standpoint or from a pricing standpoint as the program that you're on now, but it was refreshing to see that going in that direction, if the market starts to turn where everyone is requiring higher retentions, that you are doing the things that need to be done to keep your pricing model where it needs to be commensurate with the market.
Yeah, to put what she's saying in perspective, we only have one carrier coming in.
Please use the mic.
To put what she's saying in perspective in regards to the marketplace, we only had Ace Chubb who wanted to come in at 50,000. Everybody else came in at 100,000 retention or higher. And obviously, we wouldn't want to recommend a program with a higher retention level to the village. The other thing that we've recommended The other thing that we've recommended over the last couple of years is purchase of additional liability limits. So you currently have 4.95 million in limits. We usually see municipalities with approximately 10 million in total limits. We've got a couple of quotes from Scottsdale, one for 2 million and the other for 5 million, respectively costing 22,000 for 2 million and 47,000 for 5 million. The other aspect of the program one thing that we like to do is there's a narrative that we have for the carriers. When we go in and we negotiate the programs, we explain to them the things that the village is doing to mitigate losses, whether it be redoing the employee manual. One thing that we've recommended is HR solutions. When we spoke to the underwriters, we stated the village is a partner with the carriers. They're definitely trying to mitigate those losses. And one of the things that, like I said, we do recommend is the HR assessment, which is also a part of this proposal as well. As far as the carriers that we approached on the village's behalf, again, we approached Ace Chubb. They looked at the package, the pollution and the property, and they quoted. We recommend their coverages. We approached AIX Specialty. They looked at the village's package program, and they quoted at 100,000 retention. The premium was at 151,000. Obviously, the higher the retention, the lower the premium. But again, that's more money in for the village when the retention is a lot higher. AIG also quoted the crime. We're recommending AIG's coverage. Houston Casualty took a look at the program. Because of the public officials' losses that we discussed earlier, they declined to offer coverage. The same for Brit and Old Republic. Again, Scottsdale did offer excess terms at 2 million and 5 million, which is included in the proposal.
So you don't get on your job.
The total renewal program costs are $287,836, which is actually a 1% increase over last year. The one thing that we did was the rewriting of the employee manual, which is included in the premium, but the overall insurance cost is only a 1% increase over that. ACE pollution quoted $1 million. AIG crime quoted $1 million. The property, which was quoted by Chubb, has a total insured value of $14,869,109. Some of the coverage enhancements that we're recommending is the automobile coverage written on a flat, non-adjustable basis, meaning that they're not going to charge, if you add a vehicle, they're not going to charge it during the course of the year. It's composite rated. The state of Illinois allows the municipalities to not carry uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage, which saves the village money. Underwriter safety and claims is handling the village's claims on a third-party basis for workers' comp and liability. Loss control program, which is handled by Valerie. And again, the recommended and enhancement coverages that we're recommending is the excess layer of $2 million for an additional premium of $22,292, and the HR assessment, which is $32,700. The next page shows the comparison of the program last year to this year, where you see the expiring premium of $182,720 the renewal premium of $189,374, which is a difference of $6,654 or 4% on the package. The property quoted by Chubb is at $29,746 expiring. The renewal is $29,692, which is a reduction by $54. The crime quoted by AIG is completely flat. They quoted $4,640 last year, and it's $4,640 this year. And the pollution, also quoted by ACE, is at $6,930. It's also flat at $6,930. So what we're showing is ACE Chubb is a partner with the village in an environment where we're seeing 5 to 15% increases across the board. The program that they're offering is relatively flat. The risk management services that was quoted last year at $25,500 is also flat at $25,500 this year. The TPA services by underwriter safety and claims was $25,900 last year, and they quoted $23,200. So there's a 10% decrease with underwriter safety and claims. Again, the HR employee manual was $8,500 with a total services cost of $57,200, and last year was $51,400. So overall grand total for the village last year was $275,436,000, and the renewal is $287,836,000. The next slide shows the program structure, which is per expiring, with the inclusion of the Scottsdale excess layer on top of the ACE Chubb program, which would obviously provide the village with $2 million in additional liability limits.
The other parts of the proposal are the HR assessment and the human resources employee manual. And this is a description to provide you with what was already done, which is the employee manual, and will be delivered to Mr. Fairman for his review and input, hopefully within the next week or two. And outside of that, he then will be looking at what will be done with the HR assessment, which he strongly recommends that is done to properly assess where the village is now with that department, where we need to go, what our gaps are, and it will be provided in a report to you all for your review. That way, then you can do the plan on what needs to be done for that department in order to bring the village into any necessary compliance issues, or to make sure that we are doing the best that we can to mitigate our chances of having employment practices claims or benefits and life and health claims that might come against the village. So this document just outlines what those processes are, and I'm not going to read through it. It's self-explanatory. Suffice to say, though, that it's very comprehensive, and a partner in our firm would be working with that. Her background is in, she's a PhD in organizational management and human resources. Her credentials are also listed within the proposal as well. So she will be meeting with Mr. Fairman within the next week as well to outline what's been done with the manual and to get that all in place for you all. So that is the entire program that you'll be looking at. And if there are any questions, we are available, or you can go through this area to let us know what you have any questions about, and we will address those for you.
Does anybody have any questions right now? Trustee Burgess.
Okay, I have a few questions.
Yes.
The first one being the quote from Chubb for public officials. We went from 50,000 to 75,000.
On one line of coverage, the public officials is the only line of coverage that went up to 75,000 on the retention, and that is due to the 10 years of loss experience in that area, which is not quite as profitable as the other lines because of the loss ratio on that line.
And could you explain what that entails? The public officials, is that,
Public officials is coverage for the board, for any errors or omissions made on that the board might make. It's regarding the decisions that you all make for the village's operations, And it also includes things like what we call employment practices liability, which would be harassment, discrimination, suits, wrongful terminations, those types of suits.
Okay. Also,
In addition to, I apologize, in addition to your previous history, which were water contamination. So those would be lumped in with the public officials claims.
okay.
So we're still
This is,
riding out the wave on those older claims.
okay, so I'm just wondering how long are we gonna do? But then again, it's based on how often we make a claim, so within a certain period of time, correct?
Well, they take a 10-year snapshot.
Okay,
Prior to this past year, where the influx of law enforcement claims across the country have been rising, skyrocketing for the insurance companies due to civil rights violations or police shootings, things like that across the nation, that has prompted underwriters to really take a close look at their book of business and to see how profitable they are or aren't, and what needs to be done in the police area. So as a result of that, they start looking at things like, okay, we used to look at 5 years, now we're gonna look at 10. So if you have progressed beyond the point of having egregious loss history, and you're starting to do better, you trend better, which is your 1% increase. However, they're still watching and monitoring to see what have we done differently than those previous years from 10 years ago.
okay. I guess this is on your third page or second page. You said X specialty, the package. They quoted $100,000 for a deductible, correct?
Correct.
For $151,132 worth of coverage.
Yes. So it's like dollar for dollar, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, it seems that you can be self-insured on that one and save money, but then I don't know, you're throwing the dice on that one, but that is something I was just looking at. And also, the Chubb property for the automobiles, what is the deductible for the automobile? For the deductible?
No, I'm sorry, that's 25.
Okay, so we absorb the first 25 on each vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the last one, the human resources employee manual development. Who is going to comprise? Who is going to?
Okay, that's already finished, and we are going to be editing and reviewing it, but that's under my direction as well. Yes,
So
it's
that's
the-
what the meetings were when you do with the department heads and compiling all that information.
We have already done the first draft, which is what we should have an employee manual from a compliance standpoint, and then we will be meeting with Mr. Fairman to go over various policies and procedures from each department or from your bargaining agreements that need to mirror what's in the employee manual.
And my last one, I don't know, maybe Mohan and with you, are we paying you on payments or are we paying you twice a year or?
You are on an installment basis.
Okay.
You have a finance plan now for your insurance coverage.
Okay. And so that's where, we're gonna pay a percentage on that too, probably, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
Hi, we got to this point about the personnel, about this liability claim. When I got here, Mohan and I went through over $1.5 billion worth of claims. We won't call any names, but in every one of those claims, they always quoted the personnel manager as one of the issues that was violated. So we suggested to them that we need to update the personnel manager to cover both the everybody, bargaining unit employees and everybody else. And that's, I think, kind of had something to do with this reduction because the insurance company looked at it positively. Just wanted to explain that.
Anybody else? Trustee Bates?
My question from Mohan. How are we financing the payment of this?
Your financing with one of the insurance financing company. I'm going with 3 quotations for the rate as well as the installment payment.
Okay,
We are going to get 3 quotations and we'll try to place it before the board once again. The board can pick and choose if they want to, depending upon the rate of interest and percentage and stuff, and the installment that we can afford for 10 months. So once we get it done, I'm going to pass it to the board. The board will finally get through it. And we'll-
What is our due date for making a decision?
Probably can be done about before 3/27, that is March 27th, before March 27th. Once I get the quotations, I will put it forward to the board of trustees.
This is on, and we were stating before, because the date is the 27th, the plan was to have it on the agenda for next week. So is your plan then to have those quotations in our boxes this week, so we can have them available to vote on next week?
The companies that we will be approaching for you, they specialize in doing this for insurance. So the matter is that they have to recognize the relationship with the carriers. So it's not like you can just go to a bank and get a loan. This is for insurance purposes, and they have to be able to get approval from your insurance company to be your executor on behalf of the village of the coverage. So that's a special relationship. So we will make sure that the quotes that you do get are from those companies that understand what the nuances of the program are. It's not just, you can't go out to the open market and get that type of quotes for your financing option.
Is there a range that we can expect to see?
Well, I think what we're seeing now is in the 5% APR. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Does anybody else have any other questions for the loan group? No? Okay. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Item number 3, the demolition update, Housing Commission, Commissioner Gary Holland. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem and Board, beginning, I handed out the current dumpster payment, and included, I have a check to turn over to the village for the abatement of the property at 2108 222nd Place that the village paid for in the amount of $3,825. So. Pardon?
What was the address you just said?
2108 222nd Place. Okay, because of the age of most of the properties within the village are 50 years or older, and were built in a time when asbestos was one of the materials used extensively during and after construction, but are now deemed dangerous. During the current demolition project, asbestos is more and more prevalent in the homes selected for demolition. During preparation for phase 2, it was determined that of the 10 properties selected, 9 contained asbestos. Housing was able to provide abatement on 2 of these properties at a cost of $3,065, but are lacking a funding source for the remaining 6 properties, $33,419. And this does not even cover the dumpsters of about $20,000. The house at 21747 Carolina was removed from the listing as owner laid claim to the property and has been in contact with the village attorney. On June 25th, 2015, I called a meeting with Willie Winters from the Sheriff's Department, Sylvia Parman from Cook County, Matt Ryan, Ed Meyer, Sherry Reed, Heidi Parker, and Wanda Lamel to discuss the review program and possible funding at the Village Hall. At the meeting, Sylvia Parman discussed that under the CDBG's demolition program, several areas could be claimed for payment for the areas not covered in the renew program, i.e. asbestos inspection, asbestos abatement, and dumpsters. The following week, I was contacted by Mike Bryant and informed that after talking to Sylvia and her department, he was informed that the village needed to own the properties and that the village would have to pay everything up front. Trustee Myers questioned these requirements at the June 25th meeting, and in both cases, it had been stated that because the Sheriff's Department and county were taking the property's ownership, that released the village from having to obtain the properties. It was also stated that the payment for dumpsters and other expenses could be worked out. In February, I furnished all trustees and the mayor with the CDBG grant information. This is that book I gave everybody. With the county in mid-February, and found out that they still require the village to pay everything first and then submit for reimbursement. Knowing that the village has no funding to cover any of the expenses associated with this project, the Housing Commission is seeking other avenues to find funding to continue demolition. We have found working with the state and county is a challenge in its own right, as they say one thing at one time and completely change it the days to come, depending on who you talk to in government. Another issue that has been brought forward was the dumpsters. As the board had approved advance payment along with the abatement of 2108 222nd Place in the amount of $3,825. But due to lack of funds, the dumpsters were never paid for in advance. Thanks to the efforts of Ron, we were able to continue receiving dumpsters after being informed in January we wouldn't receive any more dumpsters. But Mr. Ritter was able to convince Republic to provide dumpsters until Monday, March 7th, 2016, when we were told that until the bill was paid, we could not receive any more dumpsters from Republic. In January, Trustee Ed Myers was able to contact Republic requesting a current bill, as we never received a complete statement. The statement we received totaled $19,877.88, at which this was the amount submitted in our February 6th IHDA drawdown. On Thursday, March 10th, 2016, Republic met with the village on other matters and shared informed Ernie Lopez from the Republic that we have received our drawdown that AM and that I will provide them with a check in the amount of $19,877.88. And he informed Sherry that we owe more than that. I placed a call to Mr. Lopez the afternoon of the 10th, at which time he informed me very clearly we would receive any more dumpsters, the bill had to be paid in full. $22,973.44, at which time I made arrangements to meet with him at Village Hall with a check on Friday the 11th. This brought the bill to $3,095.56 more than the statement of January 2016, causing a deficit of $335.55 in the housing drawdown after paying the village's its $3,825 for the abatement and the dumpsters to date. As of total drawdown was $26,462.89, causing the commission to use additional funding that was earmarked for other parts of the project. During, I don't have it in here, but during this period, this year, we had other expenses. Number one, we were informed in January, and Myers and I were informed that there was outstanding dumpsters that had been used by SWAT the previous year, and we actually drove over and paid those through the housing, and then they changed the requirement that we needed these 2-foot signs, and thanks to a resident that works at a sign company, we were able to get the signs we needed within 24 hours for a cost of $500. The other expenses that the Housing Commission paid out was the police stickers and the code stickers that are placed on houses. And that was in excess of $500. We have two sources of funding. The funding from IDA, there's only $3,600 left on the account. And once that's gone, because the government canceled the next 4 years of it, we have no further funding. The other thing we get is quarterly, we get a check from Cook County that we made arrangements 3 years ago, where when the property owners register houses, there's a fee that goes straight to Cook County. We made arrangements that the county gives us that entire fee. So quarterly, we get around $2,500 quarterly. And those are our only two sources of funding. Now, we inadvertently, county never notified us when they started sending the checks, and inadvertently, 5 of those checks were actually put into the general fund in the tune of about $10,000, which we just said goodbye, it's gone, there's no way to recover. But that concludes any questions. I'm sure there's a bunch.
Well, what I'm looking at, in the quantity,
Yes.
Is it on?
I was looking at the max, the most out of the quantity was 5.5 tons. Is that the heaviest load that came out of there?
Pretty much. What you need to understand about the building is, thanks to Trustee Burgess, we worked out a agreement through, correct me if I'm wrong, Trustee, but Ernie and Anthony DeLuca agreed that we would not pay for the actual dumpster. We want to pay the dumpster fees. Okay, so these are landfill fees that you see.
Please use the mic.
These are the landfill fees that you're seeing, and it's by tonnage.
Okay, so we're not paying for the actual dumpster. Where you have a 30-yard dumpster?
They're all 30-yard dumpsters, but some of the cement dumpsters are 20 yards because they can't handle a 30-yard dumpster. And those ran around $5,000, 5,000 pounds per dumpster. The cement ones.
And isn't that going to a special?
That has to go to a special recycling.
I was just thinking because if we could get 40-yard boxes, which would still be, they would have to bring out a Class A truck or anything that still would go at the same B truck. And if you had a 40-yard, you could put more material in it too.
But it has no bearing on what size dumpster we have. It's by volume. We're paying only for the weight of the dump.
Okay.
And it averages 325 per dumpster.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay.
just a point of clarification. We, Sauk Village doesn't need to own the property now because the sheriff and the county
When
went
the
to control.
houses are torn down, the county places them in a lien status for a 2-year period. At the end of 2 years, they come to us as land free. But in the interim, if they are able to contact the landowner, they will be billed whatever the county's expense in the matter was. Anything above and beyond that comes straight to the village. So the average demolition project runs the county. You tear down the house on 21747. If the county tears that down, that lawyer and that owner will get a $35,000 bill. If they contact the owner and they give them their bill, but they inquire, they will also add in any cost the village spend. And there's a fee set in there too, and that money comes to the village. They only charge for what their man hours were.
Okay, I'm kind of intrigued about the money that came into the village and then it went into the black hole.
No, it actually didn't go into the black hole, but part of it went back when we paid back last year, was it? When we paid, we borrowed $33,000 from the water fund. 10 days later, we paid it back. When we paid that back, part of that money went into it. So it went to the water, directly to the water fund. Okay? It's just, it was, when Mohan and I sat down with JW and the mayor, it was just going to be too astronomical to try to pick out exactly the amounts. So we started afresh, it was July or August of last year, and subsequently from then, when those checks come in, they're earmarked and they're marked housing. Now, they weren't before, they were just marked Sauk Village.
So has a separate line item been created for housing, so when money comes in,
Correct.
that's exactly where it goes?
Correct.
Okay. And the final question is, I remember you talking about the attorneys talking about this. This person wanted to rehab the property.
CDBG, if you read the CDBG demolition program manual, in it, it states all attorney's fees are claimable. To this date, I've requested numerous times and have never received a statement from the attorneys to submit to anybody. I have no idea what's being charged. I know it's the last time we did it, when we went to phase 2, I discussed it with the mayor and Mohan that I didn't want to pay. There was a lot of the stuff the lawyers were billing us for that housing ourselves could do. And we took about 70% of it. The only thing the lawyers had to actually do was notify, they have to notify 5 previous owners of each property that the property is being dealt. And they have 15 days to respond upon receiving the letter. And it's all sent out registered mail. And that basically was all the lawyers did. Everything the sheriff and the county needed, the paperwork and the forms and the permits that had to be made out for each property was made out by the housing commission. This time around, the first time it wasn't. The lawyers had already started it, and because they were the lawyers of record, we can't get rid of them. But the CBDG does pay. Okay, we're in the process of working with county now to, they went ahead and forgave the ownership part. Now we're trying to get them to forgive the pay up front part. Pay as we go, hopefully. We are paid as far as dumpsters, so everybody knows. As of Friday at noon, we owe nothing to the dumpsters.
The property at 21747 Carroll, that's the one that you spoke of earlier where somebody wanted to rehab the property and was taken off the list.
We had trustee Myers and the inspectors go over, and they estimated that it would run between $50,000 and $60,000 to rehab that. And the lawyers informed Sherry that they didn't care because they could rent it out for her $1,000 a week, $1,000 a month to Section 8. And that's exactly what the lawyers told us. We informed, when we were notified, the lawyers that they had, because by state law, that man has 120 days to rehab. Okay? And they haven't even made a move on it. And I had a call into the Matt to see where we stand on it. Sure, she's trying to find out the rest of it.
Now, there have been some citations issued on that property also.
Should be. They're supposed to be cited daily.
Is that somehow rolled into what the village expects to collect? What's going on with that portion of it?
You also had this sheet
Right.
provided to you,
Right.
and when the asbestos people did a reassessment trying to save us money and cut down the cost, that house happened to be one that went from $7,600 to maybe down to $3,800 to maybe. But if we, the village does it, they're going to owe us the $9,955. Okay, they owe the village $4,500 in past tickets. Now, the tickets should be what we determined was weekly. We would re-ticket them. We can't ticket them daily, but when they're cooperating with us, we lessen the number of times. But they haven't even made enough of it yet that I know of.
When you speak of Matt Burton, you're talking about Attorney Matt Burton? Yes. Okay. All right, thank you.
Trustee Myers?
Follow up just a little bit with trustee Page. You said you notified our law office several times to send you a total breakdown, and as of date, you have never received that?
Correct.
JW, is there any way we can possibly, that the attorneys, they get that to a certain?
Well, I'm not sure about going back, but certainly can ask them. Going forward, we can make sure we track it every time, so we'll look at both.
Well, we gotta find out exactly what they did in order to,
Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I know about right now. We'll check with them, see what they got. But going forward, we can. We'll ask them for the information.
so you're going to ask them to, thank you.
Like I have it written down.
All right, thanks. All right, now, the other question I have for you, Gary, is that these, as of Friday, you said were completely off on the dumpster. So where do we stand on these, how many houses are there? 13?
Right now, we have 2 houses being torn down, 2 on Philandus, and we're going to owe the money, the $3,600 I have left in the IDA funds will be put towards the dumpsters for those, which should cover it, because the $3,095 he added on there was late fees plus the house on Cynthia. We're paid up to date as of Friday, so we'd already used 4 dumpsters over there, so we're only using about 8 more dumpsters. So the $3,000 left to draw down will cover that.
Okay, so we only have 3 that we're going currently working.
But we just can't work the others. Like I said, it's over $33,000 just to do the abatements.
Okay. One of the meetings that we attended, I believe the sheriff made a comment that the county could possibly assist us in some of the attorney legwork and stuff they had to do with their attorneys. Have we ever looked into that?
Originally, Gene Hornstein from the county,
Yeah.
I discussed with you and I, that she had 20 attorneys sitting on the office
Something
doing
like that,
nothing, and they could do our work pro bono. The problem was, before we started the review program, the demolition process had already been started by the village. And village lawyers were representing the village within the county. And once that was established, that they had already started the paperwork, Gene Hornstein couldn't allow us to use her lawyers.
So,
But she brought up, if you remember, during the CDP meeting, we could put in to be reimbursed for whatever expenses the lawyers.
that's right. And have we done that? Yeah.
I haven't got a bill.
So we have got those, so we have done, so we have
I
that.
have no
Leave
idea
us.
what I owe.
Okay.
The Matt alluded to before the housing commission took over the paperwork, that it was about $1,200 a property.
Who took it over?
The housing took over the majority of the paperwork they had to be filled out, because I wasn't paying $1,200 a house.
Okay. So it all goes back to we got to find out
Correct.
some information from our law firm. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Burns?
Yes, Gary, I have a couple. The first one, okay, you brought us all of the, I guess, estimated prices. In order for us to do anything else, are you coming to ask the board for help or whatever, or we're not going to do anything else until you get more money back from the government?
First of all, to be flat out honest, I don't think it's worth asking the board for anything.
I will,
I asked, the board approved in September to pay the dumpsters, and I paid it Friday.
yeah.
The board, the village doesn't have one.
Right.
I understand that. And we have addressed to corporations and government entities that we need the money. And we've already been approached by, the IEPA has funding for demolition and some of those. The big part is the attorney general's working at. Can they tell us, pay as we go, price, pay first, reimburse later,
Right, reimburse later.
because there's 58 communities involved in this project.
So are they-
Do it for one, or they're going to do it for.
Right, and that's the whole thing,
But,
so.
the question that the IEPA brought up is the IDA is sitting on, and has been sitting on for 2 years, $154 million for this project. They did it before, but when the government.
Right, the new, right, you
They
make,
changed it that we had to pay first.
and my next question, have we sent a letter, a communication, a whatever to Republic to thank them so far, what they've done for us?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I was gonna make sure we did that, so that at least every year we do, we can send them something, because that's a lot for them to pay for the dumpsters. And all we have to do is, because I think each dumpster is about, what, $2,000 per dumpster?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's a lot of savings, and I think you used, I don't know how many dumpsters, I'm sure it's close to 40.
68.
68?
Before the first of the year, the first 9 houses took 68 dumpsters.
Wow, that's a lot of money. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure that.
Actually, we paid our own Sauk Village landfill. The houses are full, but you have to understand, a lot of these houses have been used as dump sites. over
Right.
the years.
Right, you have to clean all that up first.
Yeah, we're finding anything and everything. I mean, I've got one house that's got 80 lawnmowers, 25 stolen computers, 10 big screen TVs, 2 cars, 5 snow blowers, you know, and that's just one house.
Yeah, that's
The police and I've gone through, notified everybody, you want your computer back? It's no good, it's been in this vacant house for 5 years and rained on it. We'll give it back to you.
I've been out there seeing what you guys are doing, and you have to start somewhere, and there's a lot more to be done, but I was just wondering how much we have to, right now, you're waiting for the determination whether or not they're going to pay up front, or you're trying to get funding to pay up front before you can do anything else. Right? Okay.
And the sheriffs are aware that we're suspending it for the funding, and they're actually aggressively going out and working with us to push for the funding. Just in closing, so everybody knows, because of issues over the last year or two, we leave our books open if you come to our meetings, which you know, anybody and everybody can look at our bills. I do have copies if you want that on everybody too.
All right, and Gary, the last thing, how many homes have you, since you started the program, have you demolished?
12.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Holt?
Gary, you didn't talk about, we're trying to get some legislation so we can file these liens and stuff and pay for it, once we get it. In other words, we want to pay money in advance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we can get that legislation passed, we can get this program moving a little bit faster.
Right. One of the biggest issues we've had is and the lawyers don't know how to answer it for me, because the village has never filed a lien on any of these properties. And in lieu of the village doing it, the county has been doing it for us and placing the lien under the village's domain.
Oh, we are going to go ahead with that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's working on the package. Her and Reed are working on the package right now. And we should be able to do it by the end of the month.
Mr. Fairman, legislation by whom?
Well, I don't know. We're going to talk to one of the legislators, DeLuca, and we're going to talk to some county commissioners and see which way it's going to go. And see if the legislation passed. We haven't had a chance to talk to them yet. Probably go to the county first.
Is that evident? I mean,
The state representatives are trying to get, our representatives are trying to get, there are other fighting force too in regards to pay first and get reimbursed. It was never that way. And they started, actually, I started doing it 2 years ago, but the state adopted it 100% now. So instead of being handed the grant anymore, you have to pay it and then we do the grant. And most communities on the south side, of the 58 communities involved on the south side, I know for a fact 41 will be yeah, previous were, University Park 1, Matson, none of these communities. Park Forest, which is fairly wealthy community.
To answer your question about the legislation, SSMMA has been trying to get this legislation passed, and I don't have the time because they're not passing anything, but we're going down May 4th to talk to some of the legislators about getting some bills on the table. See, how to try to
you're going down when?
Springfield,
When?
May.
Anything else? Oh, okay. Mr. Holt, would you be so kind as to, Mr. Holt, Gary, if you would be so kind as to transfer that mic back to the podium, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Item number 4, public comment. All comments must be directed to the chair. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment on any topic of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. And as a reminder, the mayor is not here tonight, but I will be writing down everything, all your questions for the mayor, and I'll make sure they get there. Please step up to the podium, state your name for the record.
So my name is Julie Sutherland. Say that to the camera, because I want this to go. My question is, there's a trucking company at 21399 Torrance, it's called TR Management. And I was told, because I have been asking questions for some years now, and I've been calling up to the police and asking if there's a noise ordinance. And I was told that they supposed to stop working around 1:30 in the morning. They are actually working till 4 o'clock and starting back at 6. We have dogs barking, kids not able to sleep, people have to get up to go to work, and everybody cannot take sleeping pills in order to be able to try to sleep. So I want to know if there is really a noise ordinance when they violate the noise ordinance, because nobody's checking into it, and the police did not want to follow up on it and said that they bring tax dollars into Sauk Village. We're paying tax dollars as well for whether we pay rent, property taxes, or not. So is this a question that the law can find out and then get an answer? I have been a resident for 6 years now, and I still haven't got an answer. And I've been coming up here, but even run around at the village, all up here. They told me they didn't know what the codes were. I got the police, and the police gave me the codes. And yesterday, and it has taken all this time. So I would like to know, do we have a noise ordinance where, I know usually it's curfew is 10:30, 11:30, but what do we do about, is it being industrial, do we want to incorporate Cook County? Do people are they allowed to sleep at night, or what's going on? Is everything about money?
Just to clarify, you said that they usually stop around 1 a.m. and
I
then
was
start
told
back
by
up
the
at 6?
police when I called up here that they supposed to stop at 1:30 in the morning with the noise ordinance, and they are working till 4 o'clock in the morning and start back at 6.
Okay.
I haven't had no sleep and I don't know how long. I cannot take any sedative because I have sleep apnea. I'm already dealing with the training, you know,
To 4 a.m.
yes, to 3:45 in the morning, dropping trays and dragging them across the ground. Now, it's one thing that I cannot sleep, but my neighbors are complaining as well. People are moving out, and you shouldn't have to move, or you shouldn't have to take a sleep aid in order to get this sleep.
Okay. If you could stick around till after the meeting so I can get your phone number so the mayor could contact you, I will definitely make sure that this gets to him. And
I give it to you right now, so it'll be on camera.
okay.
I've been at the same phone number for 15 years, and I'm not afraid of nobody having it.
Okay.
708-268-6321.
6321. Okay.
Julie Sutherland. Sutherland, like down Sutherland, spelled the same way.
My name is Janice Clark. I have a question concerning the length of time these representatives came to present things to the board, 6 individuals, and they give you a week and a half to make a decision on, to make a vote. Has to be done by Easter Sunday, 27th. And this is, what is today's date, the 15th? Yeah. Shouldn't they have come last month? And I don't know who is the one that contacts them, or they contact somebody here. But I think the village should be a little more, whoever, Mr. Fairman or Debbie or whoever, I'm not saying who is in charge of them, but possibly next year you could give the board a little more time span before decisions have to be made. And this big deal that they seem to have said about cost comparison to other years, of course, things go up, towns get sued for different reasons, and that's a fact of life. But don't we have a village handbook for employees at this time? Mr. Fairman?
Well, that handbook is so out of date, that's what we're talking about up here, we're talking about personnel. That's what we're talking about.
When was it from?
I don't remember the date, but 2006.
Okay, now is that going to be comprehensive to include the police department as well? Or is that between the union?
I guess I'll say this much, it needs to be updated, that's why, it needs to be updated.
Needs to be updated. Okay. And the board members will get to see what your recommendations are.
Mr. Fairman, if you could ask all your questions at one time, and then that way we don't have any going back and forth. We've got some discussion about that up here, So your question was, would the board be able to review that before it was put into place?
Right.
Okay.
Before it's voted on. Right. There was another curiosity I had and I've had for a while. One of the board members seems to me to either know everything or chooses not to ask any questions. This woman, time's up. Okay, this woman never asks any questions about items that are up on the agenda. She just sits there. That's all.
I just have a comment to make. I just wanted to know if the board realized that Mr. Holcomb is a volunteer and has devoted many, many hours, his time, his money, and never asked for another thing. I don't know how many of the board members would be willing to put in the time he has, even though you get $125 an hour for your board meeting, he gets nothing. I do applaud him for his initiative doing all that work.
By the way, I'm not one person, it's the housing commission. Way to go.
Just as clarification, it's $125 a meeting, not an hour. Our meetings don't last an hour anymore. Just as a clarification. Do we have anybody else?
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Bernadine I'm sorry, Bernadine Hopkins. I actually asked these questions last time I was here, but I want to see if I can get an answer. One of them was, what are the duties of a public works committee? I'm asking these questions because this is my first time being kind of aware that this committee existed. The other one is, what are the duties of the administrative services director? I haven't heard that term. Maybe it's just a change in terminology for the same position, I don't know. But I was just asking for clarity. That's about it.
Trustee Burgess, do you want?
You were at my first meeting that I had for public works.
I just answered the question.
No, I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is you were at the first meeting and you were there when we tried to establish that, and then I had to get clarity from the mayor. And it took, as of right now, we're still back and forth trying to figure out what we're going to do without interference. So things I've asked to be informed about, I was not. And so right now our duties are supposed to be liaison between Public Works and the village. But every time I haven't heard anything, I tried to have meetings, and as a matter of fact, I was told not to because I was doing it, working hours. But you were there when we had the first meeting, when we did talk to Kevin Weller, and we brought him in, but then I was found, it was later on stopped because Kevin was told not to come because of in the evening. So right now, what we're trying to do is gather information, trying to find out from the mayor. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting with the mayor, and we're trying to get this, battened down, or whatever you want to call it. We're trying to make sure that we can have some leeway so we can talk to Public Works Director. So right now, that's where we're at. And as I stated before, we're supposed to be liaison between Public Works and the board.
Thank you.
As far as the duties of the Administrative Services Director, Mr. Freeman, do you want to address that, or would you like me to pass it on to the mayor? Okay.
All of the, the administrative services of this, code enforcement, she also.
Can you use the mic, Mr. Freeman,
Some of the duties are, she's the manager of the front office. She's also does code enforcement. She issues the liquor licenses. She issues business like occupancy permits. Sends people out to get qualified to do assessment, evaluation of knowledge in terms of electrical or whatever the ordinances are. She does all the issues about the solar maintenance program, about trying to get all the accounts, water accounts up to date. Those type of things.
That's what I want. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? 5, miscellaneous comments from the Board of Trustees. Trustee Burgess.
I just want to remind everyone tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I will have a town hall meeting at the Village Hall. And that's about it.
Okay. Trustee King.
My question are kind of all over the board a little bit. But the first speaker that talked about the renewal of the insurance program, renewal proposal is listed as by the Orange Group. We did just receive this tonight, and I have not read it. I skimmed through it as they were covering it. And I think that all the trustees will have time to take a look at this and determine what they want to ask questions about. Along those lines, I would like to see, I would imagine it's an annual renewal. If we could, in fact, move the renewal date from where it is now, I think at this time of the year, it gives the appearance that it's politically motivated, something to do with politics because the election is coming up. I just think if we had it in March or February, just a little early, we start discussing it before the election, and there should not be any impact on the election. It just gives the appearance that it's really.
Are you looking for next year?
Yes. Yes. Because this year's already set, we're going to put it on the agenda. The next thing I had hoped by now we would have received some kind of an overview or something on the audit, which we just had. And I mentioned that casually a couple, I think at least once. And there's some items that I think deserve to be addressed because, number one, they're repeat offenses, which means they happened last year, we're doing the same thing this year. In business, there's normally something that's called a corrective action plan. And in that plan, an entity is supposed to try to identify ways to correct problems so they don't reoccur the next year. And I have not seen such document, and it probably doesn't exist. I think there needs to be someone, and not picking on you because you're a budget and finance trustee, but someone needs to take a look at that audit letter and come up with some way to address the issues that were pointed out by the auditor. The village is paying a great deal of money to have audits done, and for them to simply come back and say we're doing the same things we did last year, for me is unacceptable. So someone needs to take a look and determine what needs to be done to correct the problem. There's a multitude of problems with that. The final thing is when we had a discussion with regarding the bonds about a month ago, and I asked a couple of questions that were not answered, that the lady did not have the answers to it. And her name was Thompson. And she stated that she would get the answers to me. She would get back with me and answer those questions. And this week I found a memo in my box addressed to me from her answering those questions. The thing that I find distressing because obviously there's a level of incompetence in Village Hall. When a memo is addressed to someone, it's for them. It's not to be copied and distributed. I guess it was distributed, it was copied. I received a Xerox copy of the memo. Now, if someone made a copy of the memo, I would think I would get the original. And they would keep the Xerox copy. Did not happen. I got the Xerox copy. When something is addressed to someone, it should go to them. Simple as that. And if this was mail going through and someone tampering with it, that would be a federal offense. But here in Village Hall, there's no such thing as a federal offense, and people do what they want to do. That's why I tell everyone, if it's something for me, do not leave it at Village Hall. Wait until you see me, put it in my hands. Do not leave anything up here, because the level of the comments is just unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Mary Thompson contacted me and said that she was out ill and she was unable to send a letter to you personally as quickly as she'd like to, and that you had provided a P.O. box and she was going to send you the letter to your P.O. box. She sent it to me and asked me to send the comments to all the board members. Because normally when a trustee asks a question, whoever they ask that question of wants all the board members equally to get the responses. She told me she was sending you an original of that letter to the P.O. box that you provided. She asked me to share the memo with the rest of the board, which is what we always do. If you did not get a copy of the letter in your P.O. box, I will address that with Mary Thompson, but she told me that was the action she was taking.
I have no problem, and I want all the trustees to get the same information as you. I have no problem with that. It doesn't say Tate and all trustees. It says to Tate. They should not, it's addressed to me. Past practice. Past practice, I've heard that a million times. Thank you. I've heard past practice a million times.
Madam Chair, I got a suggestion for that. I think I've had this suggestion from day one. If we want to stop this about this mail, we should do some kind of pigeonhole, box up there so people have their own combination. So I suggest the board, we can make sure that, your stuff gets in there, like we get in college where the military, see, attorney stuff, and that cuts down a lot of stuff, except you not getting stuff. Certainly to cut down people not at least taking stuff that's put in the person's house.
Well, just a clarification, that letter did not come through the mail and was not placed in anyone's box. It was received by email to me, and the original was supposed to be sent to trustee Tate's P.O. box that he provided to Mary Thompson. If she didn't do it, that's Mary Thompson.
You just said it went to all the trustees?
She sent it to my email and asked me to make sure that all the board members received the same information, and she was going to send the original to your P.O. box. If she didn't send it to your P.O. box,
No, you're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole point. I just don't want anyone to put anything in my box.
Can I approach that? I'd just like to ask a question, did the rest of the board members receive this letter?
Yeah, I got none.
No, I mean, this should have been, how long ago was this?
I got that. Seven.
Okay, because I didn't get it.
It's dated for March 2nd, but. Is that the one you're talking about, right?
what she asked about, the trustee asked about, the original dates on the documents, the balance for all the information.
Right.
And she said she would provide it. She asked that all board members, because there's new board members on the board that don't know this information, she asked that all board members get the exact same information. As far as I know, that's what we do.
Okay,
No one board member should get more information than anybody else.
I picked up my stuff Sunday, and I didn't get a copy of that.
Can we make sure that in the future, any of our vendors, if that, I know that that's a request that's often given, and it is normally when a trustee does ask a question, it is past practice or custom that all the trustees get a copy, but understanding what trustee Tate says, normally the memo itself will say trustee whoever asks the question, and then copies would go to the rest of the board, the mayor, whoever else would get a copy. So we just make sure that our future practice is that our vendors understand that that's what we're going to do.
With all due respect, I might have, since I've been here, about this mail. I strongly suggest that the board take some conditions to put their mail in some kind of secure box. question will only be whether or not they got it and not some picture.
I understand it, but that, I don't know that that was trustee Tate's concern. His concern was that it was addressed to him and copies were made. But I know that that's been a question for you in the past. I don't think that the board would oppose seeing any sort of suggestion or an estimate for how much the change in the mailroom would cost, but I don't think that we have the money for new construction. I mean, that's just my opinion. New construction in the mailroom to kind of add locks or anything like that, but I don't think that it's something that, I mean, we do have a budget apparently coming up soon, so I think it would behoove the board to, if that's something, a direction the board wants to go into, then it would not be a bad thing to see some suggestions, some estimates, what are you looking for, so the board can kind of move in that direction.
Can we just have like a camera there?
Not that we know. It points down the hallway, but we don't have a camera in the mailroom.
I mean, and what you did that way, at least the person that's building will understand that they're being watched. That might be a little bit better than just putting locks on, what, 15, 20 boxes? Put a camera in there. And when you come in there, you're on camera.
Mr. Fairman, can we look into how much another camera, the actual physical camera would cost, and then the routing and the wiring? I don't know which one would be more effective, but. Trustee Jones.
Just a reminder of the Sauk Village annual Easter egg hunt, Saturday, March 26th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bring your bags, plenty of candy that's going to be dispersed out. Bring your Sunday's best for your pictures with the Easter Bunny, and I'll see you there. That's it.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just want to say that we're in our last stretch of rehearsals for our play. It's going to be at Rick Oak on April the 15th. We only have about 4 rehearsals left before our actual live play, the Neighborhood Watch. At our Neighborhood Watch meeting last night, we had a very good meeting. Everybody is on board. Everything is moving forward. I also want to say I had an opportunity to stop by our 2 new businesses, our beauty supply store. They have a lot of items in there that's very good for the community. I'm so glad that we have a beauty supply store back in the village. I also had a chance to go to the opening of Sauk Village Cafe yesterday to patronize them and to welcome them to the village. Very good food, very good service, a lot of servers in there. Just a very warm climate. So glad to have a diner where we can go and eat back in the village. I just want to ask all of the residents that may be viewing by means of the camera to support our local village businesses. They work hard. They try to keep their businesses at a level where we can go there, we can shop. Talking with the different businesses in the community, you know, I ask them different times if different people come in and how is business going. So just want to remind the residents, if you get an opportunity to stop by the businesses and patronize our own businesses in Sauk Village. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. First letter of the invite went out on the parade. I went out, bought special paper where I know it's the parade entry and stuff. That cost I'm very no problem. All the trustees will receive theirs probably about a week and a half. I typed up a special invite for the trustees and so forth. I'm still looking for committee members for the parade and 4th of July stuff. If you're interested, please send me after the meeting or give me a call. I'll be glad to talk to you. Tonight, they're predicting some storms coming in. Looks like they might shift a little bit west of us, but there are already warnings out in various areas. So once again, if you're out tonight, be careful and at home. If you hear the words and sirens go off, please take notice of them and take proper action. If you don't know what you really should do on anything, please send me after the meeting. I'll explain everything to you. It could be a delay if the jet stream does not move, but we're going to get it very good. The jet stream moves, but there's one computer says it will move, and it will go east, just west of us. If it stays the same like it is, we're going to get slammed up tonight, and then it's going to come right back on us again tomorrow. So just be careful out there. Thank you, that's all.
Pancake breakfast, would you like the pancake breakfast?
Oh, sure. Pancake breakfast will be Sunday at the fire station. It's $5 for the ticket. I'm understanding that Easter Bunny might show up there. He'll be there. The station tours and stuff will be around for everybody. Children around the station. They will be able to see the truck, go inside, look at the engine and so forth. We open the doors, open it just a wee bit later. Just, open the doors at 7 p.m. 7 a.m. And we're going to go until 1. If you have any questions on fire station, if you have any questions on fire station, the chief is there during the daytime. And there is also a firefighter around, and we can give you additional information on it. Happy Easter.
All right. Okay. And as far as myself, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for the calls, text messages, Facebook messages, and congratulations. We're both doing well, and hopefully he's still doing well because he's by himself for the first time with his father, so I hope I still have a house standing when I get home. Thank you for making this a short meeting so I can get home, because now I'm very concerned. The Budget and Finance Committee, I'm waiting with Trustee Myers. We are waiting for the mayor to get back to us with his final proposal for the budget, and then we can have our March meeting. One of the things to just discuss earlier, one of the things on the agenda is the audit, but again, I don't know if we're going to have that meeting. We stated before, the Mohan's done with his part, and the department heads. Now the mayor is taking his red pen to the budget, and then that would be presented to the Budget and Finance Committee, and then it will be presented to the board. I've actually asked a couple times and I haven't gotten an answer yet. When will we be having budget meetings? Because our budget does have a big period. So we need time to not only for our committee to review it, but the board needs time to review it and to meet with the department heads. So that's something else that I'll be passing on from there, is to kind of figure out when the committee is going to have the budget, and then when we set up budget meetings with the board. Also, Sauk talks are on the back table for anybody who is so inclined to state that. The Public Relations Committee met last week, and we discussed the village ticket program and selected winners, and we discussed the website. And please note for additional the department heads in the audience, but just for the board and for your committees and department heads, we will be sending out information. We are taking the time to review the website, and we will be sending out a request for information. So we would like to make the website more user-friendly. We would like to make the website clear to read, and with doing that, we would like to make it more informational. So that would be trustees, committees, department heads, updating information, keeping things current. So we please look forward to that in the next coming months. Also, one of the things that we discussed was Student Government Day. As I stated at multiple board meetings, District 168 has declined to participate in Student Government Day this year, and we did discuss that at the meeting and decided to go forward with Student Government Day on our own. So we have already put out an e-blast looking for 8th grade students. So if anybody in the audience knows of any 8th grade students that would like to participate in Student Government Day, we're going to try to keep the process as normal as possible. So it will be an essay program. The topic is on the e-blast, and we will have information at the Village Hall for anybody who needs the topic and needs the process. As far as the date, for Student Government Day. That will be determined at a later date. We have to go through the process to obtain the kids and to figure out when we can do that. Because like I said, we would like to do it as closely as the normal student government process as possible. And that would include the tours and things like that. And that's all going to determine, there's a couple different things we have to look at. So, but stating that, I know I've asked at the past couple board meetings if anybody has received anything from District 168 regarding Student Government Day, and up until today, that answer was no. I received a letter from Student Government Day, and I think that Trustee Burgess did as well, because I'm looking at it. And so the board got information regarding Student Government Day from District 168. It does not pertain to this year, but it does pertain to future years. And they did suggest, made some suggestions about how to proceed in the future. And the Public Relations Committee will review this at our next meeting next month. But I'm happy to say that they did provide 6 suggestions on how to move forward, and 5 out of 6 are already done. That's already part of our process. So that's good to know. And I'm only one person from the Public Relations Committee, but I don't think the sixth suggestion is too hard to comply with. So I don't see a problem in the future. But like I said, this will be reviewed at our next meeting. And that being said, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Any second? All those in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.